My ex-girlfriend Sophia was a psycho with too much power. First, she told our principal to fire one of her teachers, and then she completely destroyed the life of a girl she was jealous of. Let me tell you how I met her and how I almost got murdered for breaking up with her. You see, I've always been a problem child. In high school, I learned how to lockpick and often broke into my school at night. I went through the teacher's files, took photos of future exams, and even changed my grades. I was pretty much fearless. And on my way to school, I approached any hot girl I saw. It was a numbers game. If I approached 100 girls, I knew I would get 2 or 3 of them into bed. It's because girls are desperate for a confident guy like me. But then, I chose a more challenging girl, whose name was Sophia. She was rich, hot, and a problem child like me. When our teacher, Mr. Kozak, told her to stop eating in class, she responded,
"This muffin is nasty anyway. Here, take it."
And despite her arrogance, I still had a crush on her. After class, I said, "You are really cute when you're angry."
Oh God, is that your pickup line?
No, I mean it. And anyway, I go to a party tonight. Wanna come?
Okay, fine, but don't disappoint me.
Ugh, okay, maybe she was more stuck up than I thought. She even started a fight at the party.
Roll out of my way, you fat panda. Huh? Says the girl with the shortest dress in the city. Are you that desperate for guys' attention?
Sophia spit on the girl and said,
"One more word and my father will end your entire bloodline."
And maybe she was telling the truth. Because we live in the Ukraine, which is a super corrupt country. If you're rich like Sophia, you can get away with anything by bribing the police. Even murder. Later, Sophia even told me her dad was a businessman with connections to Russia. She made it sound like he was some kind of mafia boss. And to be honest, I was kind of scared and didn't want to see her again. But back at school, she acted like I was her boyfriend and said,
"If another girl makes fun of me, I want you to protect me and beat her up."
I realized she was a complete sociopath, so I went out of my way to stay on her good side. Do you want to ace tomorrow's math exam? I broke into the teacher's room and stole a copy of the exam.
That's cute, but don't bother. The principal and I are friends. I can text him right now and tell him to give you whatever grade you want. No problem.
Huh. Maybe it wasn't so bad to have a rich and powerful girlfriend, even if she was a bit crazy. Sophia also let me drive her expensive cars and sometimes gave me stacks of money that I could spend on whatever I wanted. It was fun being rich, but it also changed me, because I became an even bigger jerk than before. I told Mr. Kozak, "This is what I think of your homework." Then I crumbled the paper and threw it at his head. I hoped he'd get angry and scream at me, but instead he looked like he was about to start crying. I guess being a teacher is quite a hard job. Suddenly, I felt bad, and I realized it wasn't cool to be mean. But Sophia wasn't on the same page. She told me,
"My teacher, Miss Popova, called me a useless brat today, in front of my whole class. So I called the principal and told him to fire her."
What? Miss Popova has 4 kids and no husband to support her. Do you want her to become homeless?
Oh, who cares? She deserves it.
The following week, Miss Popova didn't come to school anymore. I felt so awful that I even apologized to Mr. Kozak for throwing a paper at him. Afterward, I broke up with Sophia, saying, "It's not going to work out between us. I don't belong into your rich world, and I never will." She stared at me for a while and said,
"Fine then, go away."
Finally, I had my freedom back. But when I got into a new relationship with my classmate, Yana, weird things started happening.
"It's so unfair. Suddenly all my teachers give me D's on my exams. Now I'll never get into a good university."
I had a suspicion and asked my ex-girlfriend Sophia if she had ordered the principal to give Yana bad grades.
"No, I would never do that. You know I'm a good girl."
Okay. What can I do to make you stop hurting Yana?
"Tell me why you like her more than me. You think she's prettier?"
"No, but she's a kind person, and you scare me. You dictate orders to our principal, and he executes them like a thug." Suddenly, she burst into tears, saying, "Just give me one more chance. I'll prove to you that I'm a good person." I didn't have a choice, so I agreed to get back with her. But first, I had to break up with Yana, and she didn't take it well.
I knew it. You only said you loved me to get me into bed. I hope you die.
I felt bad for breaking her heart, but that's life. Afterward, I met up with Sophia, who tried to be a good person, but couldn't pull it off.
You can't even tie my shoes. How freaking stupid are you?
And on our way to school, she said,
I don't like those people sleeping on the streets. They always smell bad.
Oh, Sophia, just because you were born into wealth doesn't mean you are better than them. But Sophia didn't get it. Empathy just wasn't in her vocabulary. And then I met her father. During dinner, he kept staring at me like he wanted to kill me. Afterward, he even took me aside, saying,
If you hurt my daughter or upset her in any way, then the police will find your corpse in a dumpster.
I politely responded,
Yes, sir.
But now I knew for sure I had to get away from her. So I pretended I was depressed. Let's make out. Come on.
I don't feel like it. Let me sleep.
I did that for 2 weeks, until she finally had enough and dumped me. It's over now, but I won't get a new girlfriend until I graduate high school. I'm just too worried that Sophia would ruin it again.
My name is James, and I was a complete loser in high school. I didn't have any friends, and of course, no girl was interested in dating me. If that wasn't bad enough, the popular girls always made fun of me, saying that I looked like a pig. I guess you can imagine how that made me feel. I quickly lost all my self-confidence and became very insecure about my looks. However, I've changed a lot since high school. I've gone from being the quiet guy no one respects to being the youngest vice president of a large corporation, which means that I am literally managing hundreds of people, and of course, I'm also making a lot of money. When it came to women, though, I still had no success, and by my 27th birthday, I'd never even been on a date, which is why I decided to try online dating. That's where I met Tatiana. She was Russian, and one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen. I couldn't believe she was interested in me, and I could barely speak on our first date because I was so intimidated. However, Tatiana agreed to another date, and soon we were officially in a relationship. There were some issues, though. For example, we didn't have much in common, and Tatiana didn't speak much English, so our conversations weren't great, but she was so gorgeous that I didn't care. I also have to admit that I enjoyed posting pictures with her on Facebook because I wanted my former high school classmates to see that I was dating a pretty hot girl now. However, the real problem started when I introduced her to my family. My dad understood why I liked Tatiana and congratulated me, saying, "Good job, son, good job." But my mom and sister didn't look happy at all, and after Tatiana left, they told me to break up with her because they thought she was a gold digger. Wow, my own mom and sister tried to ruin my relationship. I got really angry and told them, "You are only jealous of Tatiana because she is thin and has a great shape, while you two are overweight and can't stop eating fast food." My sister immediately started crying, and I wanted to apologize, but my mom screamed at me, saying I should leave the house and that I wasn't welcomed anymore. Well, that was it. I stopped talking to my mom and sister for a couple of months. I mean, it was true that Tatiana was always asking me to buy her expensive jewelry and designer clothes, but when you love someone, you want to make them happy. The smile on her face when I bought her a Louis Vuitton bag was worth every cent. Maybe she had expensive tastes, but that didn't make her a bad person. I mean, we all have our flaws. However, even though Tatiana looked stunning, after a while, I started to get bored, because it takes more than a pretty face to make a relationship work. I also realized that we had absolutely nothing in common. I love reading books and watching sci-fi movies, but Tatiana only cared about showbiz gossip, shopping, and trying to impress people on Instagram. I started to feel lonely even when I was holding her in my arms. At first, I thought we just had to work harder in our relationship. I believed, and I still do, that love is something we have to create. But no matter how much money I spent or how often I told her I loved her, she just took it for granted. And it was more important to her to connect with strangers on Instagram than with me. That's when I realized that the only reason I was dating Tatiana was because of my insecurities. I was trying to impress my classmates from high school by getting the hottest girlfriend I could find, and I completely forgot about what actually matters and what actually makes me happy. I want a girlfriend that cares about me, who understands me and wants to grow with me as a person. But most importantly, I want to enjoy spending time with her. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a single guy who dated a hot girl for a while. I'm only glad I realized we weren't right for each other before we got married. That would have been a real disaster.
Hey, I'm Lima, and I want to tell you about my classmates and how they forced me to do their homework. They thought I wouldn't fight back, but well, they were dead wrong about that. It all started when one of my classmates wrote me a message on Facebook that said, "Hey, want to go with me and Sarah to a party tonight?" I responded with, "Of course," because I had never been to a party before, and I desperately wanted to be part of the cool kids. But then they wrote, "Okay, you can come pick us up with your car at 10 p.m. I realized they had only invited me because they needed a car. But I didn't really mind. I was just happy to have the chance to go to my first party ever. I spent at least 3 hours doing my makeup and finding the right outfit. After I had picked my 2 classmates up, we swung by the gas station to fill up the gas. I kinda hoped they would split the bill with me, because that would have been the decent thing to do, but instead they brought 24 beers to the cashier and said, "Sorry, Lima, we've forgotten our money at home. Do you mind paying for these?" Well, I didn't want to ruin the mood, so I just paid for the gas and the beer and kept quiet. But then it got worse. When we pulled up in front of the house party, they said, "Thanks for driving us here. See you on Monday." I said, "Wait, what? You don't want me to go with you to the party?" And then they said, "Oh, we didn't think you were that kind of girl, the type who likes to party and have fun." Then they just got out of my car without thanking me or even saying goodbye. I felt like a complete and utter loser. But I was so angry that I decided to go to the party on my own. Well, that turned out to be the worst mistake of my life. Because there, I drank alcohol for the first time. And then I found a bikini and some wardrobe, put it on, and told everyone at the party that I had a big crush on my classmate Ben. I even told them what I would do with him if he was my boyfriend. I said a lot of embarrassing stuff, but I was so out of it that I didn't notice my classmate filming it on her smartphone. The following Monday, my 2 classmates came up to me and said, "Hey Lima, can you do our homework for us?" I was still angry at them, and I told them, no chance on earth am I doing that. But then they said that if I didn't do their homework, they would show everyone the video they'd taken of me at the party, including my crush Ben. I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked that they'd have the audacity to film me, and now they were outright blackmailing me? In the end, I did their homework, even though it took me 3 hours. But then the next week, one of them came up to me again, and this time she said, "Okay, you have to help me tomorrow in our physics exam. If I don't pass, I will have to repeat the whole year, so I want you to write down the correct answers on a piece of paper and hide them under the bin inside the bathroom." I explained to her that I couldn't risk doing that because if I got caught, I would get an F on the exam, and then I couldn't go to my dream university after high school. But instead of being considerate, she just gave me a wicked smile and said she could send the video to everyone in a matter of seconds. Wow, that was a big mistake on her part. Because even though I'm a sweet girl, I can also bite back when the moment calls for it. The same day, I went to the principal and told her about my classmates and how she was threatening me with a video she'd taken of me where I had embarrassed myself. In fact, I had recorded the conversation with my classmate on my cell phone where she'd been blackmailing me. When the principal heard the recording, she told me I had made the right decision by telling her, and then we made a plan. On the day of the exam, I wrote the complete wrong answers on the piece of paper. Then I asked my teacher if I could go to the bathroom, and that's when I left the answers under the bin. When my classmate went to the bathroom after me to pick up the piece of paper with the answers, my principal was hiding inside the toilet to catch her. Afterwards, she brought the girl into our classroom and said, "I just wanted to notify you all that I caught this girl cheating inside the bathroom. She won't be finishing the exam, that's for sure." For the rest of the exam, I was so nervous. I could barely focus. Had I done the right thing? Would my classmate show my embarrassing video to everyone? Well, that same day I went to the principal's office again, and she told me that my classmate had been suspended indefinitely from our school, and that her parents would make sure she deleted the video and didn't show it to anyone. But of course, she did it anyway. And she was so mad at me that she published it on Facebook. She was so mad at me that she published it on Facebook. It was humiliating, and my whole school saw me talking about my classmate Ben and how I wanted to make love with him. I tried to be proud of myself for doing the right thing and standing up for myself, but I just ended up being seriously anxious about going back to school now that everyone knew I had a big crush on Ben. After the video went viral, I went to school just like every other day. And of course, all my classmates made fun of me, but it wasn't as bad as I had imagined it to be. They all made jokes, but not in a disrespectful way. From then on, they called me the crazy party girl, and even Ben came over to me and said, "I'm not surprised you have a crush on me. It's true. I'm a bit of a stud." And then we all laughed. It's not always easy to do the right thing. But at least I don't have to do anyone's homework anymore. And I now know that I can stand up for myself.